Hey guys, it's Sam here, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about who out of Mo Salah, Trent and Van Dijk I feel will stay. Basically, who stays, who goes, talk a little bit about some transfer updates as well. But yeah, moving to where I not that what I think currently is I'm still at the feeling of 2 stay, 1 go, and I still believe that Salah and Van Dijk sign and Trent leaves. Now, signing 2 of the 3 is actually not terrible, because I think we all want all 3 to stay, that's obvious. But if you look at it from a realistic point of view, I feel like for a while now it's been quite clear where where the players' heads have been at. You know, Van Dijk and Salah have been very vocal about the love for the club, the fact that they want to stay, their wish to continue being at Liverpool, and the fact that they have been very vocal about it is a pretty good indication of where their heads are at, which is they're very focused on Liverpool and want to stay. Whereas Trent has literally said nothing. Nothing has been said from Trent at all about this situation. He hasn't really expressed, like the other two, the desire to stay. And also, with everything that happened in January around Real Madrid, it seemed very... It's clear that it's been pretty much confirmed now, I think, that he is tossing up between Real Madrid and staying, and I think everyone can see, I feel like he's more Real Madrid than staying. The fact that, I mean, it just feels inevitable that he will go to Real Madrid. I do not see Trent staying, and that is heartbreaking, because I would have loved for him to have stayed. I would have loved to have him to have been a one-club man and just stayed with us until he retired, but it seems as if that isn't going to be the case. Now, for the other two, I do really believe they will stay. I do. Nothing has changed my mind on that. The only thing is that yesterday it did more... a rumour started circulating around PSG and Van Dijk. Now, this was always going to happen, considering the closer we get to the end of their contracts, more rumours are going to appear. So this was always going to happen. That's not something that I'm too worried about. You know, there's also a link with Bayern that's been shut down. But everything that we've heard remains the same as we've heard for the last however long it's been now. Pretty much since the summer of Liverpool are in talks. They're continuing to do everything they can to sign these players, and that they're optimistic about them getting signed. Nothing's changed, which is a good sign, because it's not gone downhill, but it's not a great sign, as we don't seem to be getting anywhere closer to an agreement, which begs the question of how long are they going to realistically keep holding out for Liverpool to make the offer they deem acceptable, whilst more clubs come to the table, especially with the likes of PSG, that will offer a hell of a lot more than what Liverpool will. You know, it's just, you know, richer owners, they'll always have that more money, but also FSG have a system in place which some people don't like, some people like. I can see both sides too, of having a kind of like a cap, really, on how much we're willing to offer players, especially after they turn 30. FSG have always been an ownership that aren't too invested in players that are of a certain age. They're very much young focused. They prefer offering contracts to younger players. They prefer signing younger players rather than older players. Which, again, I see both sides too, because yes, with younger players, you're getting more for your money, you know? You're going to get more out of them. You're going to get more years out of them, you know? You offer someone a 5-year contract who's 23 compared to probably a 2-year contract to someone that's 33. You know, there's no contest really, because you're going to get more years out of the 23-year-old than the 33-year-old. However, football is changing, and as we're seeing, a lot more players are getting closer to 40 before they're ending their careers, and that's not just goalkeepers now, that's outfield players. You know, Ronaldo is still going strong, who is, I believe, 40 now, or maybe 39, I'm not sure. Even though if he's not 40 yet, he's close to it, and he's still going strong. You know, he's still playing, and you know, a lot more players are getting to that sort of age now where 33 doesn't really seem that old anymore in football, and players still can go for longer. So now that football is changing, maybe the ideas of, or the model that FSG have had needs to start changing as well. The thing that is a little bit frustrating is that, again, we are nowhere near, or at least it seems we're nowhere near an answer here. As fans, we just want an answer, really. We just want a resolution, even if it's good or bad. Of course, we're all hoping for it's good and they're signing, but at the same time, this is dragged on all season, and we're now coming to the end of March with still no resolution. And it's like, can we just get an answer? One way or the other, can we just have an answer? Because a lot's happened, especially with over the last couple of months, with a few rumours circulating that Van Dijk and Salah had already signed, and that the club weren't going to announce it because it would put all the pressure on Trent. Now, with what Van Dijk's been saying, that isn't the case. He's pretty much, say, even he doesn't know, and anyone that's saying they do know is lying. Now, of course, this could be a cover-up, but as a player, and as the captain of the club as well, if you had signed, surely you'd want to let your fans know, especially considering they're getting asked this every single week. Every week they're constantly being asked, and you can tell it's getting very frustrating to them because they're constantly being asked it and they're just like, look, I keep telling you, there's nothing. When there's news, you'll know, but there's no news. So surely if there was news, you'd just be like, sorry, but you're hiding behind America, pretty much, and you're not getting asked these questions. We are. We're sick of it. Here it is. I've signed. We're done. He signed as well. We're just waiting on the other one. That's it. Or he could just say, I've signed. That's all. But I just don't think he has. Because what purpose would he have to lie, basically? You know, it just doesn't make sense. So I don't believe that. And what's even more frustrating is that because I don't believe that, they definitely have not signed, and now we're getting, as I said, closer to the end, where the hope and optimism is slowly starting to fade. Now, this is what happened last time with Salah. It got to, I think, June, or at least the end of May, when he signed. And we were all thinking he's gone. You know, it came out of pretty much nowhere. We were all getting ready to say goodbye, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he signed a 2-year deal, which was great. Do I think that's happening again, especially with at least 2 players? I really can't say, and I really don't know, and it's getting closer and closer to me thinking all 3 could very realistically leave. And if that happens, I don't see how FSG survive at Liverpool. I really don't. Because every single fan is going to be on their case, demanding answers as to why at least 2 weren't signed. Because even now I feel 1 wouldn't even be enough. I think losing 2 of the 3 would still be a massive drastical error. I think losing 1 we can cope with, and I think the only one we can probably cope with losing at this moment in time is Trent, because I feel like we're being linked with Leverkusen's Frimpong, who's a very good right back. So you take that, you've still got Conor Bradley. I think right back we're probably alright with. If you lose Van Dijk, you lose a massive leader and a massive solidarity at the back, in which you're going to have to replace. I don't even know if that's possible. Not with everything that Van Dijk brings. And Salah, his goals are way too important that you take that out. Even if you do end up signing Isak, you're going to need another forward, because you're going to need a right winger. Because although we've got Chiesa, you're going to need another winger anyway. So a lot is riding on these next few months, and I don't know if FSG can pull it out the bag. Now, what I will say is that it isn't over. Nothing's been announced. Anything can still happen. And as long as the clubs say they're optimistic, then you just have to believe what the club is saying. However, I feel like it only takes one offer, really, or one conversation from another club to sway someone's mind. And that is where we're at. If this doesn't get sorted as soon as possible, you are playing with fire. You're running a massive risk of going, no, we're fine. We've still got time. We're still confident. In the background, might not even be the player, but the representative of that player has talks with another club, and all of a sudden, that representative goes to the player and goes, this is what this club is offering. The player goes, I kind of like that. I'm going there. That's all it takes. It takes one conversation and it's done. And you've lost. And it won't just be FSG. It'll be Richard Hughes. It'll be everyone at the club that gets hammered for this. Because you've had so long to get it done. And you've been piss-farting about that you've ended up losing the race for a player you already have. Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. The fact is, this doesn't happen to any other club, I don't think. I don't see City ever being in a place where 3 of their star players are all out of contracts at the same time. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So, again, this is where a lot of the FSG hate comes from, and it's like, I can see what they're saying. Again, I'm on the fence, and I don't like being on the fence, but I am. Because I can see good things they do, but I can see bad things they do. And it's very frustrating, because the bad things are usually very, very bad things. And the good things are usually okay, but then sometimes they pull a gem like Jurgen Klopp, and then they go, okay, well, we're selling Coutinho and we're going to sign Van Dijk and Alisson with that money, and it ends up winning us everything. So, yeah, it's very, very frustrating, but at the same time, what can you do? The only thing we can do is wait. All we can do is wait and hope that the outcome that we want comes, and that eventually the club just go, you're way too important to lose. We're not going to break the bank for you, because we want to offer reasonable money that we believe is reasonable anyway, as well as being self-sustainable. Because that's their whole model, is self-sustainable. And, you know, if you're throwing money left, right and centre, it's not self-sustainable. I think we all agree with that. But we've earned quite a lot. Like, just by topping the Champions League group, I think we earned close to 100 million. It was something like 98 million, something like that. You're telling me 98 million isn't enough to secure at least 2 of those 3? Plus the money you get for already being in the Premiership. Plus the money that you're going to earn from over the season from ticket sales and, you know, club shop earnings and everything like that. All of that that's going. You know, getting far in the Carabao Cup. Yes, we didn't win it, but we got far in it. That's going to accumulate some money. Hopefully seeing through the Premier League, winning that's going to give you quite a bit of money, no doubt. So, you're telling me that there's not room to just go, there's a good few mil there that you can put towards getting these signings done. You've still got quite a bit of money to put towards summer signings as well. FSG are not poor. That's the thing. We're all sat here in the illusion, well, not the illusion, the reality of that clubs are richer than Liverpool, but FSG are not poor. They're rich. They're rich, bro. Like, they can afford it. It's just they don't want to. And that's the annoying thing. Like, at times, you've just got to put your model and your fucking theories and your ego as well out of the window for a sec and just get these signed. Get them done. At least get 2 done. Because, as I said, I don't think it's possible now that all 3 stay. But it's still possible that you get 2. So at least do that. Because if you don't, again, like I said earlier, there is going to be uproar about it. And I don't know how they survive if that happens. But anyway, to end this video, as I said at the beginning, I wanted to talk a little bit about some transfer updates. And one big update that happened yesterday, especially after losing the cup final on Sunday, is that Liverpool have already made contact with Isak's representatives. Now, for a while, we've been told that Liverpool are going to be busy this summer. Change is going to happen. Arne Slot has already identified the positions that he wants to change, players that he isn't too happy with, and players that he wants to bring in. Left back is one position, with the Bournemouth left back looking like he is most likely going to be our number 1 target for that position. A centre back we want to bring in apparently. Now, whether that's because we know what's happening with Van Dijk, or if that's just we want Van Dijk to stay and another centre back because we're short in that department. Midfield is still up for question. We don't really know what's going on there. And then forward, as I said, striker Isak, but also with the fact that Darwin Núñez is almost out. Diaz will have possibilities to leave. And possibly Diogo Jota. Now, if you sell Núñez and you sell Diaz, that is going to leave you, you're bringing Isak, still probably going to need to find a left winger because you've lost Diaz. Yes, he's been more playing as a striker, but you get Isak in. Again, you've only got Gakpo on the left now, so you're most likely going to need a left winger. You sell Diogo Jota as well. Isak, although he's very clinical, he does have some injury issues that you're going to need another striker. Now, do you place your bets on Isak and Jota and you don't sell Jota? Or do you get... because Isak's not going to be cheap. The figure is rumoured to be around 150 million. Are you going to spend 150 million on a striker and then have to spend probably another 50 to 60 million on another striker, which would then at least go over 200 million on strikers? I don't think so. So we're going to have to be careful that we don't leave ourselves short up top, because the problem with Jota is he's so good, yet he's too injury prone. And also, he did miss a great chance in the final, and then Isak took his. So, it's like, at times we are just missing that clinical striker that's going to score more chances than he misses. And unfortunately, that isn't Nunes and it isn't Jota. So, a striker is definitely needed. There were some talk, I think it was yesterday as well, about Julian Alvarez, that we were apparently interested in him last summer before his move to Atletico Madrid. But the deal with City was a bit more complicated, and so we didn't bother. He's gone to Atletico Madrid, he's done very well. Do you want... The good thing about those two is they've played, you know, Alvarez and Isak, they know the Premier League. They've played, at least Isak still plays in the Premier League, but Alvarez played in the Premier League. They know the league. They know the country. They don't have to get used to it. They're already settled. The only thing they need to do is just settle into a new club, which again takes time, but it's going to take even longer if you get someone from overseas, like someone that has been very impressive is Victor Osimhen. Now, he's been incredible for Napoli. Some reason Napoli were happy to let him go on loan to Galatasaray. He's been incredible for them. He would be a great striker. The only thing is, never played in the Premier League. Now, sometimes that doesn't matter for world-class striker. You know, Erling Haaland, for instance, didn't have to get used to the Premier League because that man is a freak of nature. But for other players, when you do play in a country, in a league you have never played in before, it can be quite difficult and can take quite a bit of time. So, do you possibly shaft out 100 mil for Osimhen, who might not work in the league? Or do you hash out 150 mil for Isak, who does know the league, who you're almost certain will fit in because he already knows the league? He can only get better with better players around him, surely. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see the summer. It'll be interesting to see how much money we do accumulate from sales as well, because it was looking like we were almost going to break even with Darwin Núñez in January. Now, whether that same offer comes in the summer or we have to accept lower, still going to be probably in the region of 60 million. Jota's rumoured fee, if we do allow him to leave, is about 55 million. Diaz is probably going to be within that same bracket. You imagine 60 to 80, possibly more. You're looking at good amount of money there that you're going to accumulate just from those three alone. Bearing in mind Kelleher's most likely out as well. There are other players that could be out. You know, Tsimikas and Robertson. There's, if you sign a left back, there's almost no point in having three. So you'd imagine one of them would definitely be on the way out. So who knows? It's all up for debate at the minute, and no one really knows what's going to happen. But the main thing right now is, after this international break, is making sure we see this Premier League through. Because the last two games, we've really been off it. And it's a slight worry. But the thing is, we have a 12-point lead. Which means even our goal difference is still superior to Arsenal's. So bearing that in mind, there is still a good possibility that we lose 4 games and still be top. which is a good thing considering we've only lost one in the Premier League, but with being knocked out of being knocked out of the Champions League in midweek on penalties, where all we needed was one goal. That's all we needed. Draw the game 1-1, we win 2-1 in aggregate. Simple. All we needed was one goal, we couldn't even do that. We end up losing on penalties. Again, Carabao Cup final, didn't turn up. Didn't turn up, Newcastle wanted it more, and we just didn't turn up. The worst thing now is that the first game back from international break is the derby. Now, although it's at home, again, Everton will be up for it. It wasn't too long ago the other derby game happened, so that'll still be quite fresh in both of our minds and probably the players as well. Hopefully that'll be motivation for our players, but it'll be in the minds of the Everton players as well to say, these lot are vulnerable. At the moment, they're vulnerable. They've lost 2 in a row. We saw that they were vulnerable in the last game. But it's going to be difficult. And this ain't going to be easy. You only hope is that the 12-point gap is still going to be good enough, as well as the fact that Arsenal still have to win games. Now, they probably will. They play on the Tuesday, we play on the Wednesday. They're at home to Fulham. You hope Fulham can do a job, but it's most likely going to be an Arsenal win. So by the time we play Everton, the gap will be down to 9. So that really has to be big motivation for these players. Not only what's happened in the last 2 games, but big motivation to make sure you don't bottle this now, because this would be even more drastic than the others. Because you've been so far ahead, if you manage to throw this away, God knows what's going to happen. So, they really shouldn't. This lead should be too much for Arsenal to catch. But you just don't know with Liverpool. So, that is it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please have a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I got this boy on my mind that I can't live without. Oh, his eyes are killing me. And he keeps talking about everything that he likes, and I can't stop listening. I'm thinking about him all the time. I'm thinking about him all the time. I'm thinking about him all the time, all the time. And my heart's beating fast when he's looking like that. Oh, his smile is killing me. It's the way that he moves and the way that he laughs, so I can't get enough. Thinking about him all the time. I can't get him off my mind. Oh, I want him to be mine, to be mine. My heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah. You know I want him now, 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 now. My heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah. I told him I can be